Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore positively getting the Maryland Crab Cake Tour back out on the road. We're going to be at the Charles Village Pub of Towson. That's CVP Towson. We'll be there on Friday. Hopefully the Towson Tigers will be there. We're taping this right before, championship style things are about to happen in the CAA. But either way, we're going to celebrate Towson, have some Towson guests out. My buddy Chris Foran from the Towson Torch is going to be there as well. We will be at CVP 1 until 4 until further notice on Friday. Next Friday, we're going to be at Pizza John's in Essex. That is the 21st. And then on the 2nd of April, we return to Fadley's where we were last week giving out the Magic 8-Ball scratch-offs from the Maryland Lottery. While I was doing Magic 8-Ball scratch-offs, while the Ravens were signing Ronnie Stanley, while the Orioles were suffering more injuries to Grayson Rodriguez and Andrew Kittredge. I don't even know what else was even going on last week. I have a new media kit and this really cool 26th anniversary thing we're doing around here, and I'm trying to eat a crab cake and stay sane in the world of Trumplandia. But Leonard Raskin, our defending champion of all things money in the American dream, realized his American dream by traveling over to Europe to see his son who is studying abroad in Dublin in Ireland. And they went to Iceland. And, you and I through this radio thing and knowing each other 20, 25 years and you being at Whiskey Joe's 24 years ago we've become, financial advisor and this, and you're on the show and we're sponsored and all that. But like the Northern Lights came to me 6 months ago and I distinctly remember you and I having a Northern Lights conversation.
Yes, sir.
And
Absolutely.
So I'm going to let you tell your story because I got the Northern Lights in my backyard in October. I saw it in all its glory and grandeur. I said to my wife, and I said to my financial advisor, who happens to be you, that it saved me tens of thousands of dollars
of chasing.
I was going to go to Finland. I was going to get the glass igloo. I was going to freeze my ass off. I was going to do Alaska at the wrong time of the year to try to get underneath of all of it. You had an adventure, did you not? You had an adventure.
We did have an adventure. We did indeed. We went out a little over a week ago and met the boy in Iceland. For Kathy and I, it was a lovely 5-hour flight. For him, it was 2.
So you didn't even go into Europe proper. You just went to Iceland.
No, just to Iceland.
Okay,
just to Iceland.
Okay, all right.
Just flew to Iceland.
Now, I've been through there a dozen times. When you land, it feels like you're landing on the lunar surface. I mean, it's a very unique, beautiful, but you usually land at 5 in the morning.
Yes,
if you're going to Europe, you land in the morning, right? And then you get on the plane to Amsterdam, London, Paris,
wherever you're heading.
You might be going, right? So that's been my experience.
So we landed
there
5:30 in the morning, freezing cold, 50-mile-an-hour winds, about 0 degrees, and this was spring break. Spring break. It's a lovely thing to do for spring break. So land, get to the hotel. I thought I was going to fly away holding the suitcases. I thought they were going to act as a sail, and I was going to fly back to Baltimore.
Dude, you read the Titanic thing. It sort of sunk somewhere near there and the future America of Greenland. But like you're in the middle of the Northern Atlantic Ocean.
Arctic Ocean.
And just getting like
whipsawed wind. About an hour to the hotel in
It's
Reykjavik.
Real winter there is what you're telling me.
It's real winter. And it is, if you are a conspiracy theorist of the we didn't land on the moon variety.
Well, you are a Republican. Go ahead.
No. I'm talking about the we didn't land on the moon variety conspiracy. I don't know who
I know which way they voted, but go ahead.
I don't know who they are, but all I can tell you is this is where they would have filmed it. It was, we were hiking craters. We went into and hiked into a glacier under the ice.
How cold is it when you're doing this? You went outside in Iceland in February?
Of course. I had hiking boots. I had ski pants. I had crampons. I had my Ravens heavy coat. I had battery operated gloves, hat. I was out there. It was magnificent. It was magnificent. With the wife and boy, we hiked.
Did you see any polar bears or anything weird?
Didn't see any polar bears. Right. Saw reindeer, lots of reindeer, lots of sheep, lots of horses, and lots of snow and lots of ice, and really bizarre. Driving down the road, dude, there's a neighborhood there. It is I mean, it's a full city. It's an entire city, homes,
You mean
businesses.
Reykjavik? Sure.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. I'm talking about outside there, near the famous Blue Lagoon,
Okay.
a city out near the Blue Lagoon that is completely abandoned. 2023 volcanic eruption took out the city. Uh, all the houses there are vacant. They were bought out by the government. The government said we can't protect you from the encroaching lava. And as you drive along the road through this city, the ground on either side of the road is smoldering. You can still see smoke coming up from the non cooled lava yet. It was the most bizarre occurrence I've ever seen in my life.
What did Mark Twain say about traveling making you, you know what I mean?
It brings the world.
Whatever the richness of all of that, of
It, it
life's
is it
grandeur,
is
it
an
really is amazing.
education the likes of which you can't get on TV or in a book. It is magnificent
See, I did
hearing
that on
about
the
the
south
country.
side of New Zealand. I mean, I've been
Yeah,
Great Wall of
yes,
China. I
as
mean,
have
I've
we.
done things,
Yeah.
right?
And
But
you
like the
know,
Iceland thing, I've been there a bunch. I had not until the last 10 years, the Northern Lights didn't become a thing for me. My
yeah, I
things
loved
were
it.
like going to World Series and going to
Right,
games and
sure,
going to the
sure.
World Cup, doing things like that. And then once I experienced like the Great Wall of China and Asia and different languages
It's you can't imagine.
and then different beaches and saying, well, if Jamaica's this beautiful, how beautiful would Tahiti be? How beautiful would
Right,
Moorea be? How
right.
beautiful would Bora Bora be? So I've tried to do all of that. The Northern Lights, I wanted to say this for folks
It's a
who
thing.
don't have it. You have to chase it. It doesn't come to
It
you unless it
you
comes to
don't find
Towson
it.
like it did.
Yeah, that was
And
amazing. I missed it. I was out of town, didn't see it,
okay, so
and
give me your Northern Lights thing. Like you're a
so
guy that collects
Wednesday,
money and has around people that collect money. Was it a bucket list thing for you? Was it a chase
well,
or no?
not particularly, but it was just something I wanted to do. Absolutely wanted to see it. We were in Alaska, didn't see it. When it happened here, I was out of town, didn't see it. Saw it on everybody's Facebook feed, didn't see it. And when we were in Alaska last year, 2 years ago, the thing that struck me was there was this little gallery in a little town we visited that was kind of the town they modeled the show. Remember Northern Exposure?
You told me this story.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they had beautiful on glass and on silver this woman's art of the Northern Lights, which was amazing. And I said to Kathy, I said, I'm not buying anything here because I've never seen it. So I don't know what piece would be like my mind of the Northern Lights. So I have to see it first. I'm not going back to Alaska to buy the art. I'll tell you that. However, Wednesday night, we went out to dinner. We had a guide in Iceland. We had a private guide, and we went out to dinner. And we have an app on the phone. I have an app on the phone, Aurora Lights, and I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it sent us a text or an email that said within the next X period of time, given the light of the sky and the clarity of the sky and whether or not there's clouds, and it puts a probability on seeing it, and then you go out and drive around the countryside.
It's a 30-minute forecast, just to
That's
be
right.
clear.
That's right.
I know a lot about this because I'm a Northern Lights
Well,
chaser.
this one runs every 10 minutes. It'll tell you in the next 10 minutes you're highly likely to see it and or not. So we get in the car after dinner and we're driving back to the hotel we stayed in. And
You don't have to go anywhere special there, right?
no,
Like,
no, you
just it's
just
just there.
drive. You just
Yeah, I mean,
drive.
here, if you were in Towson, you really would want to go north away from the lights.
Right,
You want to get
right.
away from light if it ever happens.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
so you can't have the light pollution of street lights and buildings and all that. It kind of dampens it. So we're cruising along, coming back, and the most bizarre thing in the world, Nestor, I'll tell you. So we're driving along this one lane each way
What
road.
time is it?
This is 11:30 at night, about
Okay,
11
and now,
o'clock at
now
night.
when does there's not a lot of sunlight there this time of year, right? Like
No,
this time of
there
year,
was plenty. No, there's plenty sunlight.
the
Still
sun
plenty
comes up at
sunlight.
8 in the morning and sets at
Yeah.
4 in the afternoon, like
No,
that.
no, 8 to 6. We
8
we
to
had a full
6,
day. Full
full
day
day.
of sun.
Okay, okay.
But here's the thing.
I may be thinking
The
more
side of the
November, December.
Yeah,
Then.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The
Okay.
side of the road has, I guess they're maybe 3, 4 feet tall. Every, I want to call it, 20 feet, 50 feet, I don't know, reflectors on the side of the road.
Hmm.
So our driver, our guide, there's not a lot of cars out here. This is not Towson, okay? This is country, way out in the country. He turns the lights off on the car and is driving by the moonlight, hitting these reflectors, driving down the road to see the northern lights. Because if your headlights are on and you got the bright lights on because you're driving, you tend not to see it too well. So he's trying to find them, and he turns the headlights off, and he's only going like 10 miles an hour, but he's still driving and going around curves by the reflectors on the road. Very bizarre feeling, not being in control of the car. And then I'm sitting on the behind the driver. Matthew's in the front. Kathy's next to me in the back. And I say, look to your left. And I see this cloud that shouldn't be there. And he pulls off the side of the road, and we get out of the car, and it was there. And it was about a half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe a little more, of the most amazing dancing cloud features of, there you go, blue, green, not blue, I'm sorry, green, purple, yellow, white, red, exactly. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Well, the crazy part is you can see the stars through it too.
So clean.
This
so
looks
clean,
fake.
so clear.
This looks like a screensaver.
It does. It doesn't look like that could be real, and yet here they are. I sent you the pictures because I know you would enjoy the fact that we found them.
You sent it to me the minute it happened. Like,
yeah, I sent it to you.
It was like in the middle.
The other thing is it's 5 hours.
You sent them to me at 7:43 p.m. and I knew it was after midnight there, and I'm like, you're up late watching the Northern Lights.
Right. It's 5 hours difference there. So we took these pictures. We're outside. And we got back to the hotel, and we settled in at the hotel. And
you like get out of the car? You just like stop?
Oh yeah, stop on the side of the road, get out of the car, and take pictures.
And there's no cars passing. There's nothing. It's just
occasionally there's a truck goes by in the middle of the night.
How long did you stay out there to watch the Northern Lights dance?
About half hour, 40 minutes.
And did you get back in the car when they were still dancing, or did you wait for them to end? Or
they were just about subsided, and we jumped back in the car.
So it's a 30 to 40 minute dance. It's not like an earthquake. It's a show.
No, it is unbelievable. Both sides of the road, in front of us, over us, to the right, to the left, and back of us.
Look at you lighting up talking about it.
I have 50 pictures.
You're a man of money. What was that worth to you as an experience?
The entire cost of the trip. The whole trip. I mean, whatever we spent for the trip was irrelevant as to the experience. A, to have it. B, to have it with family. Have Matthew see it, and to be able to share that memory for the rest of our lives.
I'll never forget, dude. When I'm sitting here and my wife and I were watching a playoff baseball game, and I knew it was possible that
it was crazy that it would be in Baltimore.
She and I were going to drive. We were going to drive to Westminster and go north, thinking there's no city there. Harrisburg and York.
Here, and when it's bright, it takes over.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you could be anywhere.
And here's the other thing that I've heard. The other thing that I've heard. Sometimes you can see the colors and the dancing and the moving with the naked eye. Sometimes your eye can't, but your camera can. Your phone can. Now, when it was here in Baltimore, were you able to see it without the camera?
100%.
Yeah. So the first time we saw it, it was just like a cloud riff, and without the phone, it was just white. But the second time when we saw it and got out of the car and spent the 40 minutes, the green and the purple, without the phone, it was right there, and you see it dancing and moving. It's hard to catch on video. On the phone.
My video had a problem with the lighting to try to catch it until I adjusted it.
Right,
and once I adjusted it, it was unbelievable.
I do have some incredible video.
But I'll say this for us. My moment happened at 10 after 7 on my Facebook page because I said we were literally getting a cooler for drinks.
Right, and people started showing it.
We had flown to Spokane. Last year on a day's notice to try to chase it. And it's a really hard thing to chase. And we had points and we were kind of bored. It was Saturday night. So we did it on a total lark, like driving to the beach. We did it and we didn't get it. And then it happened here. But when it happened, I saw a picture from someone I know on my Facebook
lit up. lit
who
up on
said it's
Facebook.
in Towson right now.
Yep, yep.
And I'm like, let's get in the car, let's do something. And I walked out the door without a jacket on, and it was
Right,
a
but
little
at
chilly.
your place, you
Now
got
I
perfect
walked
light.
out and I looked up
Yep.
and I saw it and I opened my phone and I turned my phone on and I saw it with my eye and then it was definitely more on my phone for sure,
Oh
but
yeah,
oh,
sure,
both.
because of the light
And
structure.
all I could say when I opened the video was, "Holy like it
Yeah.
was
Well, that was it.
it
That
was a
was it.
moment, you know."
So we did that. It was absolutely brilliant. It was phenomenal. The next morning, our guide, not the next morning, two days later, at another stop on our trip, our guide was talking to another gentleman, another guide with a couple that had been there for days, a number of days, that didn't see it. They didn't get there in time, and they didn't see it when it was there. So they went to Iceland, and part of their trip was they literally were driving around hunting it in the evenings, and they spent 3 days and however much money they spent and nothing. And that's what happens. It's just a rare when it comes, not rare, but when it comes, and you got to be there and you got to catch it. So we did, and then we did a Jeep tour, which wasn't really a Jeep. It was a no, not a 19, sorry, a 2005 Ford Excursion, big old SUV with 40-inch tires that they drained the air out of and took us through rivers and over lava flows and through a foot of snow, 6 inches to a foot of snow, and some of the most amazing, breathtaking scenery that I've ever experienced from a winterscape in my life. Like you, a lot of vacations, Australia, New Zealand, the islands, Hawaii, beautiful places where it's warm.
Yeah.
And the beach and the cold drinks. Here, we're in glaciers, we were in caves, we were on ice flows, glacier flows, and the drink of choice was hot chocolate with a little Bailey's after getting back into a place where one could unzip the coat and not freeze to death.
Well, you
And,
be
and
my
I like the
financial guy.
cold.
One of the
I
reasons I've
like
never
the
gotten
cold,
out of the
and it
car
was really cold.
in Iceland is because it's expensive. Like,
Yes,
like
yes,
Reykjavik's one of the most expensive places on earth
yes.
ever,
Well, they have
all the
to import.
time.
They have to import just about everything.
So give me an example of going to get a cheeseburger and a beer and some French fries in downtown Reykjavik. Are we talking $40? What are we talking here?
I don't want to sound like an idiot, but we had a lot of it included in the trip. But let's say this: we went out for a meal for four. We had a meal for four that was, it's called langoustine. Have you ever had langoustine?
It's like
Uh,
lobster.
It's like a mini lobster.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mini little lobster that they eat sort of like a crayfish, but not exactly. But we went to a langoustine boil, which was langoustine and baked potatoes and some cream of langoustine soup, which
I
is
was
like
going to say
lobster bisque.
potatoes were going to be involved in Iceland. I knew that.
Potatoes, and langoustines and langoustine soup. Dinner for four was about $500.
There you go. So,
So
right.
it ain't a cheap place to hang out.
Yeah,
And this was not a 5-star restaurant. The food was 5-star. The food was phenomenal. The
you could have
service
spent a
was
lot more.
phenomenal.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
was not a high-end place.
This is the thing for me with Iceland is like
100
when
and
I've
change a
landed
night a
there,
person.
they do everything they can do it. And Iceland, I partnered with Iceland there 25 years ago. We gave away a
Yeah,
trip.
yeah,
I had a trip that I had that I never used, and I gave to Kevin Eck a million years ago with his wife to go over and enjoy this.
yep,
But I've been through the Reykjavik, Keflavik airport.
yeah, yeah,
Oh man, I bet I have a dozen passport stamps going through there to
yeah.
Scandinavia
To
to
somewhere else,
Europe,
sure. It's a big,
and I've
big
landed
hub.
there and I've been in the 3 hours like grabbing some food,
Right.
and it's not like expensive airport or
No, no,
whatever.
no, no.
But I just know that if I stay there 2 days, it's going to be way more expensive than
Yeah,
being anywhere I've
it ain't
ever
cheap.
been.
It ain't cheap. And one of the things the guide
Just
told us,
breathing.
which was
Yeah.
which was very interesting. If you remember back 2010, that was the last massive volcano eruption, and it shut down European airspace for about a week because of the
Because of
ash.
smoke,
So
sure, yeah.
yeah, so what happens is the volcano is under the glacier, and when it blows, that cold and that heat hit, and the smoke and the ash blow up in the atmosphere and travel. And they were afraid that, if it gets in the engine of a jet, it clogs that engine and down goes that plane. It doesn't work well with ash because it's cold and it compresses in the engine, screws all the stuff up. But what the guy said was, which is really funny, was that was an amazing commercial for tourism for Iceland. Because everybody's like, what the hell is this little island country screwing up all the European travel? And so they like didn't come on the map, but they basically became this whole thing. And
They also had a soccer team went on a run a couple years
they
ago. It was
did.
pretty good.
They
Yeah.
did. That didn't hurt. And I think it was Brooke Shields, a little movie called Blue Lagoon,
Oh,
which
right.
didn't hurt.
Well, they
Uh,
they they stole that, but yes, the Blue Lagoon was
yes,
like an island. Yeah.
yes, but it's Iceland. It's in Iceland, and we did a few hours there, and that was an amazing experience floating
See, that always
outside.
looks cheesy to me. When I've
It
seen
is not.
video from there, I
It
didn't
is
really dig
not,
it. Yeah.
dude. It is an outside
I know
water
people that love it.
adventure.
I know people that like the Blue Lagoon
It
thing
is.
is their
It
place. Their
was
Disney World.
outstanding.
Yeah,
It's
see, I got it.
outside, and it's, I don't know, 25, 30 degrees,
It's not
and
far
it's
from
a
the
hot
airport. I
spring.
know,
No,
like
10 minutes.
you could
10
do it.
minutes.
You could
You
do
could
it
do a
during
day
a
trip.
layover. Yeah,
You could do a day trip.
you could say I'm going to take the 7 p.m. flight over to
Yes.
London and
Yes.
spend the day just Blue Lagooning and spend
Yes.
$600 just doing that, and like
Jump
whatever
back
it
on
would
a
be.
plane
Yeah, yeah,
and go to
yeah, for
wherever you're
sure. They'd
going.
love to do that for you and I.
So a couple drinks, nice hot water silica bath in what looks like blue milk, a nice massage in the
Massage.
water,
Yes.
laying on like a beach, like a pool float.
Not a Justin Tucker thing, right? Just a regular.
No,
No hanky
no,
panky.
no happy ending massage.
No hanky
No
panky.
hopeful happy ending massage.
All right.
But I imagine Ronnie Stanley could afford to go.
Leonard Raskin is here. He's managing Ronnie Stanley's money at this point,
Yeah, well,
as well as his own. He is Raskin Global. We usually get together and talk about Alex Ovechkin or talk about Ronnie Stanley, talk about the
another
Orioles
great run.
pitching or David Rubinstein. By the way, I'm going to use my passport 2 weeks from now. Luke and I are going up to Canada for opening
Right.
day, so we're
There
going to
you
be
go.
there. So I kind of
Are
thought
you
you
seeing
went to
Getty
Europe.
Lee? Is Getty going to be there?
I hope. I had Rick Emmett from Triumph on the show this week, so he
Okay.
has a new book coming out. He's a big baseball guy too, so we talk some Blue Jays. But yeah, I'm hoping Getty's got this 72 baseball stories, and
Right.
so I'm really looking forward to that. But
You got to get him
but
while
the
you're out
European
there.
thing, I want to throw this at you because
Sure.
Brian Adams, yeah, I'm a Brian Adams guy. He's
Right.
playing a show in Reykjavik in about 6 weeks, and
There
I
you
was like
go.
trying to rope myself into like figuring out a way to stop over and finally going into Reykjavik for a night
Do it.
because I don't
Do
want
it.
to do 4 days in Reykjavik. I don't want to
Do it
drop 5 grand
overnight.
in Reykjavik in 3 days.
No,
I'm
do
not
it
going to do it.
overnight. Look, you don't need a 5-star hotel. There's lots of places there.
Oh, I know. Everything looks like IKEA there. I've flown over
Right.
Iceland enough. I
Right.
know
Get
I love
land.
Scandinavia. I love everything about
Right.
that part of the world. I love the people.
It's
They all
magnificent.
speak English. They're all nice.
They're amazing. Their language, the English is phenomenal. Their knowledge of our culture and theirs. I mean, the military was there for years and years and years. They understand Americans. They understand English very well. The boy is potentially going to do a year of school over there.
I can't imagine a
So
more lovely place to
it
be
is
or visit for a
fantastic.
while. I mean,
And
I'm
when
not in
is
any
when
way
is
bagging
Brian
on
Adams
Iceland, but
there?
it's also
No, when
cold.
is he there?
Mid-April.
So it should be a little nicer. Should be a little
Well, he's
warmer.
also playing the Faroe Islands, and I was going to do that, which is a little bit more
Okay.
harder to like get to from
Yeah.
a destination standpoint. I don't think I'm doing any of it because it's just like the European Union last week prepared its people for war. So like
Oh, that's
there's a little
ridiculous.
bit
That's
of
nonsense.
well, Putin's got
That's
guns.
nonsense.
Yeah,
Oh,
Putin's very
well,
crazy.
he could be
Yeah.
a crazy guy. He
Yeah, we
could do
shouldn't really
crazy
be on his
things.
side, but we'll save that
He
one for
could do
next week.
crazy things.
The
Yeah, that's another
Ovechkin
conversation.
thing, the Ovechkin
Yeah.
thing for you with this.
Another goal, another day, another week. 4 more goals last week.
Now that you got the Northern Lights last week, are you going to chase Ovechkin next week?
I got to chase the winning goal. Goal 868. What is it? 884. I don't even know.
You know what? They're not going to let him do this on the road, right? Like Leon just is going to milk this at home. If he
I
gets
don't think
one
he's got
away,
no choice. No choice. He's going to do it where he does it.
they got to play.
They got to play.
They
And they're
lost
in
a
first
couple
place.
games recently, right?
They
And
did, but they just won the last 2,
Yeah,
and they're in
they're
first
ready.
place in the league. They're playing for the cup this year, and it's really weird if you think about it. not often, although it obviously happens, but not often is a guy or an athlete going for a record of this magnitude with the team playing as well as they're playing at the same time because the focus gets lost. But
Well,
they're
like the
not.
Ripken 21-31 year, people don't remember because it was 30 years ago, but they stunk. They weren't, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. It was
And
that.
Pete Rose was chasing hit records when he's an
Yep.
Expo. And,
Yep. Yep.
I almost went to see Tony Gwynn's big hit. He got his 3,000th hit in Montreal. And there was, 1,400 people there
Right. Right.
So like you look back on some of these seminal moments when
Yeah,
things
right.
happen.
But this is going to be huge. The big thing now that the world is trying, the local world, the sports world is trying to figure out is who's going to be broadcasting the game.
Yeah, because Lachlan
Because the
and
national wants
Beninati,
it. The
it
national
sucks.
wants it, of course. And what I think is they can have it. I really don't care. But they can't exclusive out the local. They can't say you can't show it. That way, if they want to do two broadcasts, great. Let them do two
Yeah, I
broadcasts.
think sponsors may have something to say about
I know. I know. I
that.
think it would be horrible if the local guys can't broadcast that game.
Hockey is so personal, right?
Absolutely.
Being a fan of it. Yeah, I mean, and
Absolutely.
I feel that way about hockey. I've had hockey in my life, my whole life,
Yeah.
for better or
It's going to be
worse.
amazing. It's going to be amazing. I mean, and then here's the thing. The guy's got uh, 33 goals, 34 goals this year. He's just hit 1,600 points, goals and assists in a career. And he's chasing this goal record at 39 years old. That's the most amazing part. If you look at Gretzky's record, when he got it, the bulk of it, I mean, he added a couple goals here and there. But late in his career, he didn't do anything. He didn't score a lot. He
When he
scored it
was a
all.
St. Louis Blue and a New York
Yeah,
Ranger,
he
people
scored
forget
a
he was
few
even there.
goals,
Yeah.
a few goals a season here and there. To I don't want to. He did not pad the number. He just kept playing, and he scored a
Well,
few goals.
Ovechkin's not padding the number the way an old quarterback may get
That's
yards
my
playing on
point.
a lousy team, right?
That's
Yeah,
my point. He
yeah.
is scoring like he's
Relevant
25.
goals, right? Relevant goals.
I think he's third or fourth in the league at 39 years old in goal scoring right now. It's ridiculous. And he's still hitting people. The guy's still running into people on the ice. If you tally up the number of hits he has and you look at his hits, nobody that scores goals, half as many as him, has as many hits as he does.
Well, one of the things that's interesting I'm 56 now, and I feel like I've seen it all from the late 60s and even the lore of the 50s of Johnny Unitas and what
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
great players were of Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, like that era
Absolutely.
of player, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell. I have appreciate Big O, I have appreciation
Sure.
for great players, and this is all I've ever done for a living is
Right.
talk about sports for 40 years.
Yep. Yep.
I, I saw Gretzky in his prime, covered him in his prime, was
Absolutely.
at his locker next to
No
him in
one
his
better.
prime.
No one better.
I'm a Gretzky guy. I saw Jordan in his prime, then not in
Yep.
his prime. I mean, I was courtside when he's a Bull at the Chicago Stadium.
Right. And then
I
a
mean,
wizard.
I experienced Kareem, Magic, Larry Bird at the end, Dr. J at the end of the end after the
Yep.
Fisher
Yep.
say I was at his locker, Barkley in his prime, like all these great players. And in those sports, you can give the Wilt and to the next to Dr. J, to Larry Bird, to
Right.
Magic, to Jordan, to LeBron, right? Like, and you can
Absolutely.
make arguments about all of those players and all the next level down of really, really David Robinsons and pick any of
Sure.
Shaquille O'Neal's,
Sure.
any of those players that you think are great players.
Yep.
Hockey has really Gretzky,
Absolutely.
Lemieux, and
Yep.
then you have the old Gordie Howe and
Yeah. Yeah.
Bobby
Yeah.
Orr and Holland like that. But there's no one arguing Gretzky.
No,
There's
of
no
course
one
not.
arguing Lemieux if we're
No.
Mount Rushmoring. And
Right.
then there's Ovechkin in this mix that
Yeah.
now has come on. And the Ovechkin part's amazing because you were around when the Capitals were 871 and
That's right.
9 in 1974.
That's
I
right.
remember Maruk and Gardner. And I mean, the things that were so disrespectful as to why I don't go to their games and haven't been to a game in 8 years since I walked off the ice, a Stanley Cup champion with the
Yeah.
coach at the
Yeah.
party. I'm like, after that, and the way that kid Zach Leones just spoke to me in Baltimore, loving that team and loving that franchise, and like how much of my life was spent around hockey,
Yeah.
especially this
Yeah.
time of year, that I've just over the last 8 years, I've just graduated. It's just like
Right.
I don't do it anymore. I don't spend time with it anymore.
Right.
I love hockey, loved
Oh,
all of
it's
it. But
fantastic.
what Ovechkin has done and what it's
Unbelievable.
meant here, and in regard to it being 40 miles away and you having been to 100 games to see Ovechkin play, dude, I've seen Ovechkin play 100 times
Oh, I've seen him
in
at
20
least. At
years, right?
least.
So
Yeah, at
like
least.
I've seen him I mean, I've seen all the playoff games.
Hundreds.
I've seen him
Hundreds.
play in Toronto, Tampa.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, I've been in the locker room. He's grabbed the cup from me. The night
Yeah.
he left the party, he took the cup from me. He
Yeah.
literally, the cup was here. He walked out with his sandals and the ball cap and went to
Went
Tiesto.
to the
I almost
bar.
went with him.
Right.
So
Right.
like, I mean, like I'm that guy. I got video of it. So like what Ovechkin has done is I like we're about to get to the point where like the white people had to do this in 1974 to say Aaron really passed Babe Ruth. I know you
Right.
like the Babe Ruth thing and all,
Right.
but it's
Right.
Aaron. And we haven't gotten there with Bonds on the home run
No.
thing, right?
No.
I don't know that anybody's ever going to hit 57 games in a row for DiMaggio, and he ain't here to
Nope.
hand it over, right?
Nope.
But like when you start to talk about the great of the greats, there'll always be a LeBron, Michael Jordan debate, and
Sure. Sure.
nobody's wrong, nobody's right.
That's right.
Like,
It's time and
and with
game.
hockey, even Lemieux would say Gretzky. You know what I mean? Now
Absolutely.
I don't know if
Nobody's.
Lemieux and Gretzky get together. They both might have to say Ovechkin. They both might have
Yeah.
to.
Well, all around player, A, hitter, endurance, goals, assists, at a time when, different than their world, the game is played differently. The guys are bigger. The goalies are bigger, and their equipment is massively bigger. Guy used to use a first baseman's mitt to catch the puck and pads that barely covered his knees. Now these guys stand up. It's like the Michelin man there trying to get a goal by these guys. You don't see 100 goal scorers. You barely see 100 point getters in a season. The world, and during his 20 years, the game has been revolutionized. And yet, there he is, 39 years old, 33 goals, 1,600 points just reached. More goalies scored against than anybody in history. It's just ridiculous. And he just keeps on playing. And soon, to the chagrin of many, the Russian beast, the Russian machine, will break the great Gretzky's goal scoring record. And in all likelihood, it'll happen before the end of the season in the next, 20 days, 30 days.
Leonard Raskin is here. He is there at Raskin Global, managing money, managing the American dream and the Icelandic dream and the international dream of
Do it.
the Northern Lights.
Travel.
So.
Travel is education you just don't get anywhere else. Travel is a thing that sparks the mind, and everybody should do. I don't care what's on your bucket list. If you have that one place, I don't care if it's Disney World, Iceland, Alaska, Hawaii, do it. We're only here for a limited time on this earth. Make it happen.
That's a Rush song. That's a Rush
There you
song.
go.
We're
There you
only
go.
immortal for a limited time.
Absolutely.
We are young. There you go. Wandering the face of the earth, wondering what our dreams would be worth, learning that we're only immortal for a limited time. There you go. Neil Pearson.
Amen.
Hey, for Canada. By the way, I was told by Rick Emmett that if I wear this hat, I might get better. I might do better in Canada when I'm there for the 2 or 3 days there. I think the Orioles.
Even though it's red, do they like red hats?
They like red hats with Canada and anything with a maple leaf. They like up there.
There you go. There you go.
So I had Rick Emmett on the show this week. We're talking some baseball. Opening day's 2 weeks away. Luke and I are talking free agency. I've had John Palumbo on this week. We've done a lot on climate change this week. There's a big symposium at Loyola this week that I did a segment on that. So all of our work is up at Baltimore Positive. You can find Leonard Raskin up there and our friends at Raskin Global. Get out, travel, see the Northern Lights, stay warm, and get ready for baseball. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore Positive.